Hello, Aries. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Aries is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It is totally free, does not cost anything. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Aries, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Now we're starting with the Four of Wands. This is kind of a card that shows that we're getting past a certain stage of life. I'm feeling that I kind of feel like something's landing. You know what I mean? I feel like you've taken you've made some move and things have settled. This is the card both of hellos and goodbyes. And really, it's funny. It reminds me of my daughter when she was like 2. She used to like to sit in my chair here for the tarot readings, and I'd spin her around, like in an office chair. And as she would go away, she would say bye-bye. As she would come back around the other side, she would say hello. And so this whole trip around the circle was just hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye. And it was so much fun. It was so cute. I should remind her of that today and see if she still likes to do that. But that's what I feel with this card. I feel that we are, we've experienced perhaps a goodbye, and we're ready to experience the hello part. We've gone around a circle. We've gone through a cycle of something. I feel there's some sort of transition happening in your life. This might be extending a little bit from the last reading that we did for you, the bonus reading that we did. Because I feel that this is sort of not a closure. I'm starting to not really like the word closure, because it feels too kind of nice and tidy. It feels too compartmentalized. Okay, I've closed it, and now I don't need to look at it ever again. I'll forget it's even in the closet underneath all the clothes and so it's not really, to me, a closure, but it's kind of like we've completed one ring of the spiral here. And we're kind of seeing how things are going to progress from this point. But I do feel that there is a completion of some kind. I feel that some decision that you've recently made, a big move, a big change that you've recently implemented, has now stabilized. Okay? And we're ready to see kind of what happens from here. Okay? It may be, and we'll use some more cards, it may be that we've arrived at a particularly stable or safe place, and that's kind of like we're ready to kind of, we're ready to say the bon voyage and get started on our next journey. Well, there we got the A's. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Going from a 4 plus the ace, now we get the 5 of Wands. Now we're ready to set out again. So I feel like you've arrived somewhere. Okay, maybe we've made a big decision, things have stabilized, we've arrived at a safe place, and now we're trying to find we feel the energy, and we feel the power now to direct our lives in any direction we wish to go. And so it's like, where are we going to point this magic wand? Where are we going to go? I think that's kind of the decision that needs to be made at this juncture of your life. But let's put the rest of our cards down. Let's see what's really going on here. We've got a Prince of Swords, fixed air energy. A Princess of Wands. This was a kind of a risky move you made, but it worked out. See, this was a big kind of impulse. This was like a surge of energy, a spark, and you did something, a calculated move, but it feels like it was rather abrupt. And this is kind of like with our last bonus reading, where you broke free of your old path, and it was kind of a spontaneous thing. And I think we've landed here in our 4 of Wands. So we've got a 7 of Cups up above, but a Prince of Swords underneath, and a 3 of Swords in that future position. what we're trying to avoid going forward is a repeat of what we experienced last time. Obviously, if you have made a big move, made a big sort of almost irrational, abrupt, kind of spontaneous or impulsive change in your life, the last thing we want to do is come back around and realize we're right back where we were before. It reminds me of, what was it, Theon in Game of Thrones. That whole storyline was, I'm terrified of that storyline. That's the worst. No spoiler. But let's keep going. But I think the Three of Swords is a very natural card to have in that position. Here we have a Princess of Cups. And we have the Libra energy, the Justice card. We have a Prince of Cups as well. And we have a Princess of Swords. All of these court cards are focused on right now. Okay? And as far as the court cards go, the Knights tend to look toward the future. The Queens tend to look toward the past. The Princes and the Princesses, which is what we have here, they're focused on right now. How do I feel? Where do I experience certainty and confidence? And where do I feel like a kind of stability, right? And then with the Princess, it's kind of like, where do I feel that I need to make some improvements, that I need to sort of shore up how I feel, you know? So, very interesting that we have your heart and your mind are fixed, okay? But then we also have the heart and the mind that are kind of looking for something new and trying to understand what it is that we really truly want. So there's half of you that's kind of like stable and confident. There's half of you that's kind of uncertain about what to do next. And of course we have that the impulsive Princess of Wands in the background here, which I think has set off this entire thing. But I feel that this is really going to work out for you, okay? I feel that there is, kind of feel like this Ace of Wands is like the hidden power in you. And it really is a way of saying that if you're in this stable Four of Wands, you can go and do anything that you wish to do from this point. That it really is up to you to figure out your heart and mind. And that's, I think, in a large part what this reading is about. Harmonizing your heart and mind. I think you kind of want different things. You're thinking different things. You have different ideas, different plans. And maybe it's going like this. It's sort of a reference to our Libra energy with the Justice card or the Adjustment card about balance, right? About that virtue of justice, right? And kind of how do we do the right thing at the right time? How do we do the right thing by our own soul, right? And how do we really listen to what is going on within us and we're able to choose this direction, right? And I think that this is really the way here, I think, is to really try to get beyond the heart and the mind and really feel this surge of energy. And it's like, close your eyes and use your own internal compass. Right? What happens if we can't read the numbers on the dial? We don't know what all those numbers mean on the compass. Well, just look to where the arrow's pointing. Just go the direction the arrow is pointing, right? And so we have to be able to, it's kind of like you're out in the woods and you'll take a pine needle or something, right? And you'll give it some static. You'll rub it on your jacket to get some static electricity. You'll put it on a leaf, and you'll drop it in some still water, and it'll show you which way is north. But you have to free yourself from your heart and your mind, your thinking, your feeling, and all this kind of wrestling with everything and going back and forth, and this uncertainty, in order to put ourselves on that leaf, on that still body of water, and just let that fiery impulse, kind of creative energy of spirit, let this guide you. Okay, and this is that fundamental spiritual force in you. All right, this is the closest thing that we get to really a pure spiritual energy, and I think this is going to show you the way. Okay, and I think your hidden power is to kind of move beyond your heart and mind and tap into this intuition, tap into this creative impulse, this spiritual force, and kind of be able to feel or to intuit which way it's pointing you. Okay, and we kind of have that idea with the compass here with the 4. It sort of looks like a compass, and I think that we just have to figure out which way the needle is pointing here. And we can't always see it, and we understand that very much with our reading here because, well, let's select our mystery card, and then we'll talk about what we've got on the table here. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown, and we're going to set it down right here, not with Mr. Ed, the little horse, but with Mr. Tao, the yin-yang duck. And this is the changing of the guardian of the mystery card, so we scooch everybody down. And Mr. Ed gets to go right there in the back. We're not going to look at this card until the very end, all right? But it will tie everything together and give us our confirmation. If at any point during this program you feel like you know what that card is, put your prediction down in the comments, okay? Let's look around the room, and I'll show you kind of what I mean here. We've got one major arcana energy, and this is the Libra card, okay? Libra is your opposite sign, Aries. If you look on the wheel of the zodiac, Aries, Libra, opposite, 180 degrees from each other, right? So Libra represents sort of your unconscious self, your silent self. It represents your alter ego. It represents everything that it represents the center of your consciousness directly opposed to your kind of your ego consciousness, and it's the focal point of everything under the surface for you, okay? And I think this is what we really need to tap into. This seems like this is the way forward, is to sort of suspend that sort of conscious executive function, ego kind of decision maker, authority of our lives, and sort of allow the energy from the unconscious to sort of guide you, allow that spiritual, intuitive compass to kind of orient you without consciously interfering with it, right? So we have a reference to your sort of alter ego and your unconscious, the focal point of your unconscious energy, okay? And I think that your intuition, your spiritual vision, which is another thing that I associate with the Ace of Wands, is that spiritual vision. We have to be able to, again, kind of bypass the heart and mind, the human heart and mind, the consciousness, really, and the ego consciousness, and see that spiritual vision, feel that spiritual intuition that tells us what direction to go now. Which direction is our new path? Okay, trying to orient ourselves, especially if this is the sort of cardinal points of the compass, right, with the 4. We kind of want to know about which direction to go into, about where, roughly speaking. And we can think of it as the quadrants, north, south, east, and west. Basically pick a direction on the compass, and that's our way, right? We still have to figure out the terrain. We still have to figure out really the nuance of the path, because it's a new path, but I think it's going to put you into a balance between your unconscious, let's say, and your conscious, your ego consciousness. So we've got one major arcana energy. We do have fire, 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 a cluster, just a surge of fire here. And this is very focused fire, right? So this tells me that what happened recently was very quick, and you're still in that very excited, very powerful, very ready to go energy. And it kind of feels like we have to use that now before it calms down and we're starting to, well, maybe I'll just wait. Maybe I'll take a couple of days. Now I'm not so sure, right? No, we're already in that adrenaline. We're already in that surge of creative energy. We're in that surge of confidence and assertiveness, and we already are kind of in the spiritual fire, right? And we have to allow it to continue to transform us and to push us forward and to guide us toward the appropriate direction for our life. Okay, because that's the only fire energy we see, and we really don't want it to stop. But I feel like you're kind of hitting a wall right here. It's like we have all this confidence, and it's like you're just so jazzed up about something, right? And you're just so excited, and you're driving there. You get there, Wally World's closed, right? It's terrible news. And it kind of feels like that's the deflation, right? And we don't want to we either, if we're experiencing that now, we want to figure out how to get through it, or we want to just avoid it altogether. Okay. So we've got our fire, we've got, of course, water, 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 and we've got air, air, and air, right? 3 of water, 3 of air, 3 of fire. Right? That's pretty interesting, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, I'm just going to make sure here. Make sure I counted right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then, of course, the 10th card is the Libra energy. So this really is, I think, again, lucky numbers 3, 3, 3. I think when we have such a balance here, it's very important that the fire energy tries to stay in harmony with the heart and the mind. The fire energy is not action. It is the impulse to action, right? In this case, looking behind you, a princess of wands. The princesses are earth energy, right? The princesses are action. It is behavior. It is actually doing something in the material world, making some sort of physical move, right? It's a behavior. It's fire. All the princesses are earth. This is earth and fire. So this is an action that has, well, basically it's been initiated by this fiery inspiration, a spark, a flash of insight, a flash of just, I don't know, motivation, right? And I think it's also kind of continued. It's something, it's a spark that kind of, it's starting to catch, and it's making sense. And we're going with it, and we're building up this fiery energy. Okay. So this was an action that you took that made a big change. This was something that, like, you had to kind of, like, it's almost, when you see a cartoon character kind of revving up, they're getting all charged up, and then they zoom out. That's kind of what this is like. And I feel that you recently made a big move like this, and it's led to this settling down. It's led to a safe place for you. You kind of hit the target you were looking for. It's like you took a leap, and you landed right here. Okay, and I think that with a 4, we do have a stability of the fire energy, that it's kind of like saying, okay, I made it this far. It's like I got away from that particular situation. Now I'm here, and my basic needs are met. I've got the water, shelter, food. Now what? Now where is my intuition taking me? Okay. And so I think we're looking for a vision of which way to go. We're looking in every cardinal direction, north, south, east, and west, trying to find some thing that tells me, it's like we want to see a little synchronicity, a little omen or something that tells me, like, that's the way forward. Okay. So it may be that we have to try to bypass the human heart and mind and try to just use the spiritual vision to literally have a vision, or a dream or a daydream or some kind of synchronicity, but to be able to spot the synchronicities, to be able to see that omen. We have to be, excuse my voice today, we have to be in this intuitive energy, we can't be too wrapped up in the heart and mind, but that's all we see. We have fire, and then we've just got air and water. Air, air, water. Water, water, air. So it's kind of like once we start thinking our way through something, then we sort of get hit with an emotion. Once we start feeling our way through something, we get hit with a thought. And so it's just kind of like the heart and the mind are struggling to be in harmony with this spiritual flow. And we want to keep that fire energy moving. That's what we would wish for here, is to keep it going this way. Okay. So the 3 of Swords kind of becomes the memory of where we were before, and the understanding that with a 4 of Wands, sometimes it's a cycle. Sometimes it's a pattern that repeats. What if I didn't break the cycle? What if this is like, what if I'm going to go right back to where I was? And so this is what we're looking at in the future. It's like you've taken this little journey, and this feels good in the fire energy, but then you got stuck here because we're looking this way. And all we see is kind of almost a black hole, or like a portal that we feel is going to lead us right back to where we were. It's like that show, what is it, From? I think it's on MGM. It's about this little small, tiny little town where people can't get out because there are monsters there, and anytime you try to take a road out of town, you just end up right back in the middle of this little town. It's a good show. It's a common trope in movies and supernatural stuff and sci-fi stuff and all this kind of thing. But this is the fear that if I go that direction, it's just going to take me right back to where I was. So any direction that we're looking, we're afraid to get back to where we'd been. Okay, and so this becomes kind of a memory. This is a function of memory. This is you understanding the process of creation on the mental plane. What if I make the wrong decision and I end up right back where I was before, that place I just got away from? I feel with the last reading, you broke away from your previous path, right? Well, what happens if I go this way, I'm right back on that old path again? What if I go that way and the same thing happens? What if I go that way and it's disaster? What if? And then we end up here with the Seven of Cups. We end up stuck. We end up feeling that we can't move. This is our feet in quicksand. And it's just, the quicksand kind of, when you ever step in mud, like up to your knees, and it's just suction. You can't really, it's hard to, I've done that, and I lost my shoes down there. Because of the suction, It feels like it's really difficult to move right now. But the longer we stay here, the more difficult it's going to be to get out. Because this fire energy, we're going to lose the momentum, see? We're going to lose the surge of this fiery creative will. So hanging above our head is this idea of, I can't stop here. I've got to keep going. This can't be my permanent place, But if the Four of Wands is true, that we have a feeling of sort of solid ground under our feet, relatively speaking, compared to where we were, it feels like got away from that old path. I'm okay now, for now. We know about the four. All fours are sort of the reminders of impermanence. The fours are good. It won't last forever. The four is a good waypoint. It's like you're on the road trip, you stopped at the motel. Okay, well, I'm not going to live at the motel. I'll be here for a couple days, and then I'm going to get back on the road. It's kind of like, I don't want to be at the motel for months and months and months, and then basically I just live here. Okay. Nothing wrong with living in a motel. I've always had fantasies of just living in a hotel rather than having like a apartment or a house or something. I've always just wanted to kind of live in a motel or something. But anyway, fantasies of my 20s, I guess. Anyway, the idea here though is that it's always going to be. I know this is temporary. I'm going to keep going. It's like, yeah, but it's temporary. But it's been a long time. Are we still going to say it's temporary? I had to live on my brother's living room floor for a while. And I always said, okay, brother, this is temporary. Temporary. And it was about 6 months. But that was temporary, right? So the point being, we don't want to let our kind of fear of the unknown, we don't want to let our worries, we don't want to let the potential what if I'm disappointed, what if it doesn't work, right? We don't want to let that deter us from moving forward, because the alternative is just, I'm stuck here, and I know this is not good. I know this isn't going to last, or this isn't where I want to be, or this is supposed to be a temporary waypoint on my journey. Okay? And we don't want to also try to distract ourselves by things that, well, I could just like it here. I could just look at all these shiny things. I could just be happy in this place. I don't have to keep going, right? Well, that feeling is not going to last. Eventually, the stability that we feel now, this is going to stagnate, and I think we're really going to feel the stuckness. So the only real path is to go forward into the unknown, to where, maybe you're going to end up in a bad spot. Maybe you're going to end up where you were yesterday. Maybe you're going to end up disappointed, right, or let down. But the alternative is much worse. So this is where we're going. And this is your resolution to do that. This is underneath the surface. This is a Prince of Swords. It's a fixed air energy. It's an Aquarius energy. It's kind of saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to be the little pine needle on the leaf, and I'm going to have the vision of what direction to go, and I'm just going to go. I'm going to say yes, I'm going to make a commitment, I'm going to make a promise to myself, and I'm going to start moving in that direction, even if it looks like this in front of me, even if it very, very likely could be sorrow, disaster, right? I'm going to go this direction anyway. So this is your ability to sort of take command of yourself. But first we have to have that spiritual vision, and then our mind has to say, okay, my mind's made up. This is the card of your mind made up, right? That we have decided. The mind, the ego consciousness has decided to follow the spirit. Okay? Decided to follow this trail of fire, right? Wherever it is leading you. Usually the cards are like that, right? Now we're going to talk about the path of the serpent. And as we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It is free. It doesn't cost anything. Your general energy is really a heart, a desire kind of system, a desire body. A lot of new feelings are coming up. It's kind of hard to pick a direction when we feel like I'm in love with so many things. There's so many things I want to do. How do I know which one is going to be the right one, and which? It's almost like we're sort of imagining that 99 of them are going to lead us back to where we don't want to be. And there's only one that leads us to the future, that leads us to the satisfaction. But it's just like, how do we know which door to go through? So I think that you're sort of, when we get this freedom, when we break free of our previous path, the Princess of Cups becomes a heart now that is free to desire all sorts of things. It's like someone who, maybe this is a bad analogy, but somebody who just gets out of prison and they just like, I don't even know what I want everything. I want to enjoy everything that I've missed. Maybe because we're watching The Sopranos, so maybe that's why that image popped up. But it's kind of like, the heart desires all sorts of things, and we can't trust that. I mean, we can, somewhere in there is our deepest, truest aspiration, our real soul's yearning dream kind of wish and desire, but that's covered up by just a lot of desire for a lot of things that we've missed out on. So we can't really trust that. So I feel like you're somebody who really, you desire all sorts of things. It's like me at night. I want to read all the books I have. I go through my list. I have Apple books, right? And I scroll through all the books that I've got downloaded. And every one I'm like, oh, I want to read that. I want to read that. I want to read that. I can't wait. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't know which one I'm going to read tonight. And I end up kind of just looking at my books and loving them, but not actually reading anything. I mean, it's a problem. But that's kind of what this card's about, okay? And so what we really need is we need the commitment, we need a binding sort of a mental energy, a higher discernment. In all these desires that we have, how do we know which one is ours? In all these different doors that are surrounding us that we can go through, most of which may lead back to where we were, how do we know which one to choose? That's the higher discernment. This is where we have to partly we have to figure it out through trial and error. We have to figure it out not by sitting here contemplating, though. Okay? Not by trying to make a conscious decision, an intellectual decision. We're not running the numbers. Michael Scott reminds me of The Office. He said, run the numbers. I ran them. Crunch the numbers, yeah. He says, crunch them again. He says, okay. The guy goes like that. He said, crunch, same number. I mean, it doesn't change anything. If it were as easy as a math problem, then no one would have an issue. We'd all be doing our will. We'd all be living our true life, and we'd all be on our journeys. It's not a math problem. There is no right answer. Okay? So we have to figure it out through experimentation, for one thing, through perhaps looking at all of these different desires that we have and doing the higher discernment, not the intellectual or emotional evaluation, but using that sort of spiritual vision, right? Which one really, in that intuitive sense, seems correct, right? But this card is about the real time, evaluation of things. And this card's in your environment. It's in terms of your relationships. I don't know if this is mostly a relationship thing for you, or if it's a career path, or if we're talking about your vocation. But I do know that you have to, in every situation, you have to sort of weigh what is going to be right for you. It's the virtue of choice. It's how we choose the right thing in every single moment. I have two options. I can have a bowl of ice cream, or I can have a salad. What do I come on now. I know what I should do. I know what I want to do, that ice cream. But what should I do? Well, I should have a salad right now. I can have my ice cream on the weekend, like I've told myself. But right now I should have that salad for lunch. Okay? That's just me. This is my problem here. And so it becomes that sort of real-time evaluation of things. And that's a virtue, that's a hidden virtue, really, that we all need to invoke. The ability to judge things in real time and have that sort of, have that discipline, have that higher wisdom, have that sense of justice, right? Making the right choices for ourselves in any given moment. Be able to evaluate every single thing in our life. Every choice that we're about to make is either going to be good for us or not. Neutral or bad for us. Still not good. Even neutral is not good for us. We're not judging anything's intrinsic value, but its relative value for us in terms of what at this point in time we conceive as being our highest conceivable good. I don't know the path we're on, but this is how we sort of figure it out. It's different than the Aries energy, right? It's different. Again, the Libra energy is your unconscious energy. It's the focal point of what you really know. And I think in those moments, we have to sort of free our mind from our bias. I know what my heart and my mind would say, or perhaps my mind would say salad, my heart would say ice cream. But if I just can shut those off for a moment, what's welling up from inside of me? Maybe it's a different thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's not the choice. Maybe that's not it. Maybe it's intermittent fasting. Maybe there's a different, a different meal or snack that I could have that actually would be even better. But we have to be able to allow those images to well up from inside of us, and even kind of another layer of meaning here. This is the occurrence of many, many images. We're flooded with images all day and all night, right? They say we dream 6-10 times a night, right? I don't remember that much, not barely any at all. So it could be that we have just so many images in our heads, so many desires, so many thoughts and feelings, so many images, that we don't know which one is really our soul talking to us and which one is just kind of our personal unconscious, or just our mind, our imagination, or our ego consciousness, wants and needs and drives and desires and things. So we have to be able to take this Libra energy, this higher discernment, and apply it not only to what's outside of us, but what is inside of us. Okay. And that's going to allow us to really have our heart fixed on something. Here we got our mind fixed on something. And here it's kind of saying, okay, that's the desire that I have sorted out through all these desires. This is the one for me. This is the one that I feel is the kind of the highest good. And then this kind of becomes the standard by which we're judging everything else. Okay? And this is authenticity. And authenticity gets thrown around all the time. I'm just being myself, right? Well, who is myself? Trying to figure that out at every moment. Right? But trying to know in this moment right now what feels like my highest good. What is it that I or maybe who is it that I feel I am right now? And this is the decision. This is kind of that feeling upon which I'm going to base my decision. So we really want the heart and the mind to be firm and fixed and stable and confident about the way forward. Okay? And then the obstacle, of course, is to have that heart fixed on something, right? because then we run into that Princess of Swords, which is kind of like now you're going to have to defend your choices against yourself. Because your mind is going to start saying, well, you didn't think about this. Well, hey, I didn't even see those books over there. Well, let's just look at the list of books again, right? Or even when I'm reading the book that I've chosen, right? I've fixed my heart and mind on something and I'm reading it. And then in the back of my mind, it's saying, what about that other book? What about those? That one would be really good. This one's kind of boring. Here are some reasons why this one's not going to be good for you. I've chosen one fiction book. It's called Into the Drowning Deep. As I'm reading that, I kind of like, I'm hearing the voice in the back of my head saying like, fiction is a waste of time. You need to go read a nonfiction book. Go read a philosophy book, you know? And I'm trying to just like, I'm trying to defend my choice against myself in a way, right? And so it really becomes not even so much choosing the so-called right path for you, but choosing a path, choosing something and having the discipline, having the fortitude, having that fiery commanding energy that says, I'm doing this one and I'm going to see where it goes. Okay. Until I can consciously and confidently choose to set it down and reach for something else, but not because I've never really committed to it. You see what I mean? And so that would be a continuation of the fire energy. We have to give up that fire for a time to sort through the heart and mind. And I feel like we're going to regain the fire here in the mystery card, don't you? I feel like this is going to be, maybe the Emperor. I think that would be spectacular, right? Because it would sort of bring us back around full circle, so to speak. We have the Libra energy and we'll have the Aries energy and we'll have sort of a union of the two. It'll bring the fire energy back around to fire with the Emperor, right? Your Aries power card. And it would definitely, create this combination between these two. So that's going to be my prediction. It could be any kind of fire energy, I think. I feel like we need the continuation of the fire here. It feels like it sort of gets cut off right here. We need to keep it going. Now, if you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Oh yeah. There we go. There we go. Emperor card. Perfect. This is your power card. We got to ring this bell too, actually. Because this is the card that rules the sign of Aries. So it's kind of saying we have to suspend our ego consciousness, executive function, kind of commanding, authoritative energy, and let the images come up and try to sift through them in an unbiased way. And then once we've got an image of what we're going to do, what we're going to commit to, the path we're going to try, right? We're going to try. We're going to commit to something and see if that's the way. This then becomes our ability to do that and resist now the heart and the mind. It's kind of like we've given the heart and the mind time to speak your piece. And now, shush. And the Emperor is kind of saying, the meeting is over. The meeting is over. I'm not taking any more questions. I've made my decision, and this is what we're doing. Then the ego consciousness kicks in, and now it's got its job to do. And now it's right here in this fire energy, ready to go. Ready to go down this pathway that may or may not be the perfect path for you, but you can always tap back into your higher discernment and make the right choices then to keep yourself going in a path that feels right for you and to explore this dark unknown that is the future, right? Perfect confirmation card, that Emperor. Beautiful, beautiful. We're going to do an extended reading. We'll do some oracle cards. We'll do an Jing reading. Okay. There's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Aries Monday and Friday. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It is free. It really helps the channel out. Okay. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're currently watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.